So my last video was on why efficiency matters, and this is the follow-up. I like to do these little follow-ups. It gives me time to expound upon the idea or maybe build upon it in another interesting way or give you some clarity or clarify what I was saying before. Unlike the video I did on the good, fast, cheap myth, there seems to be less disagreement on this one. Everyone seems to understand the basic truth that small improvements over time add up to big results. That's more or less the moral of the story from the last video. However, there's this question of like, if we know that's true, if we all know that these small improvements really matter, then why don't we do them? Why is it so hard to improve even marginally? And I think the answer to that, for me anyway, is called resistance. There's an idea in the book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, which is that there's this thing out there called resistance. It's this force that comes at us anytime you try to do anything good. Now, he kind of labels it as like gravity or the devil or whatever have you that you believe in that is trying to stop you from doing something. I actually believe it's a little more simple than that. I believe resistance is simply going against the natural flow of your life. So your life has a natural flow to it. So essentially it's like what comes the most naturally to you. So at the end of the day, if you watch yourself and your actions, that's your current flow, right? That's the river you're in. You don't really have to make any effort and you end up getting to wherever you're gonna go. So for me, that looks like ending work, probably grabbing a beer, putting on a show or playing some video games, maybe reading a book a little bit, but not really. Talking, having some conversations is really easy for me to do, and then going to bed. That's fine, but that's a lot of time I could get back doing something that I wanted to do. But I have to go against that flow. Essentially, it's swimming upstream, right? I'm taking the natural flow of my life and I'm going against it in order to get something done. And that's what resistance is in my mind. And that's why we don't do these things. That's why we don't make that big change. That's why we don't learn that new skill. That's why we don't sketch once a day. That's why we don't read one chapter of a book a day. That's why we don't do whatever it is. It's because you're having to go against the natural flow of things. So that's resistance. That's why we don't do these things. But how do you overcome it? Swimming upstream is really difficult. If you've ever tried it, you'll know, right? Even if you've been in like a lazy river, just trying to go against that, it takes a lot of work. So how do you get it? How do you figure it out? I'm by no means an expert on this. I'm in the journey myself. But what I've noticed is a few things, and it's also from what I've studied. This is what I've gained. I'm going to tell you my ways of beating resistance. They look like this. Number one is setting the stage. It's essentially preparing everything for success. So oftentimes it looks like cleaning my desk. It looks like if there's a clutter anywhere, I get it out of the way, right? I need to remove all the obstacles as well as set myself up for success. So this is a bad example because I'm not very good at it, but if it was working out, it would be putting a yoga mat on the ground because I live in a concrete floored apartment, and then setting a glass of water by it, not a glass of water, but setting a bottle of water by it the night before, so that way when I wake up, it's ready to go. A better example for me might be this setup. I have my camera ready to go. It has a cable hooked up to my computer. I have a light over here, and all I have to do is press record. I don't have a background right now, as you guys know, but I'm kind of living with it. It's a shallow depth of field. You guys can't really tell what's going on back there. You might see a cat now and then, but I like it. So it's setting the stage for success. Camera's ready to go, lens is on, it's already on the tripod. All I have to do is hit record. Microphone's in front of me, ready to go. So I've made it as easy as possible. The next step is to build momentum. And I actually get this from the real world. I was thinking to myself, how do I overcome resistance in my own life? Resistance can be as simple as gravity, right? Gravity is a natural state of things pulling you downward, and you have to fight it to get anywhere, which gives you resistance. So in the case of going upstairs, let's say, right? The way I've walked upstairs my entire life up until probably the last few years has been by giving myself a running start and then just shooting up the stairs. I don't like having to put one foot up after the other and work my way up the stairs. And so throughout as a child and high school and college, I'd just give myself a few steps running start and then shoot up the stairs. And it was way easier for me to get upstairs, even a whole flight, by giving myself a little bit of momentum before going. Even if it wasn't enough momentum to get all the way up, the amount of momentum just to get a few steps up allowed me to take the rest of the steps not as painfully. But if you try to walk up steps without any momentum, it's actually a lot more difficult. And that's what happens when you're carrying bags, and then now it's even heavier. So giving yourself a little momentum really helps. Momentum looks like a burst of energy and then consistency afterward. Momentum is something with you have a car, for instance, right? And when you first turn on the engine or when you first push the gas to get going from a stopped position, you use up way more fuel than you do the rest of the time. You need that thing to get you going. This might look like starting a course, or it might look like going to a weekend event or a conference. That thing to kick you in the butt. Now, you don't need to keep that same level of excitement and engagement throughout your entire process, right? Just like the car doesn't have to use that same amount of energy. But you need that little kick in the butt to get you going. So, whatever that takes to gain that momentum, do that and then start building it. But then don't stop, right? Because once you stop, then you got to start it all over again. Then you got to go back to that retreat. Then you got to go to that talk. Then you got to, hire that trainer for a week, whatever it is to get your butt out of gear, to get your butt into gear, and you to start building that momentum again. My final tip, and probably the most powerful way to overcome resistance, right? To overcome that flow of life, which is pushing you one direction, is to change the river you're in. If you can get out of the current river, which is pushing you one way and into another one, then that's going the direction you want to go. It's going to be way, way easier. What does this look like? What does this mean in the real world? Well, essentially it's moving, right? It's changing your friends. It's joining a business group or joining a lifestyle club. You get around people, or going to a university that specializes in what you want to do. Suddenly you find it easier to do the thing than not do the thing because everyone around you is doing it. Your schedule is suddenly built around doing this thing. Everyone else's schedules around you are built around doing this thing. This is one of the reasons why, but outside of many others, but one of the reasons why cities like LA and New York and others seem to consolidate power and these big ideas. It's because everyone around you is thinking about big ideas. In LA or San Francisco, if you go to any of the coffee shops, you can't introduce yourself to someone without them asking you what you do. How is it that you can help each other out? What is it that you're looking to achieve? Because of this, you're surrounded constantly by a mentality of people that are trying to achieve something. They're trying to go someplace, do something, build something, and you can't help but get swept up in that flow. So if you can't move someplace like that or don't want to, like me, I could never live in one of those places. They're way too expensive. I like my cost of living here. Thank you very much. One of the best things about the internet is you can find people all around you. You can join different groups. I'm obviously a huge fan of the Future Pro group. This is Chris Doe's group, but Seth Godin has a group. Multiple other people have groups where you can join and be part of a community that's all kind of heading one direction. By putting yourself in this essentially school, right, like a school of fish in some ways, suddenly as a group, it's easier to go against the tide than it was as an individual. So I hope this kind of puts a practical side to what I was saying before. I'm trying to take some of these complex theories on how to improve yourself or how to be a better artist or better at business, and then distill them down to practical applications of what it looks like in the real world. So hopefully this helped you out a little bit. If it did, please let me know. I don't really care about anything other than your opinion. I really want you to give me some feedback. I know not a ton of people are watching these videos yet, and if you're somebody in the future watching this and I have thousands of subscribers, fantastic. But for now, number 5 viewer, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought, or if I can improve something. If my delivery sucks, my lighting sucks, if I wasn't looking at the camera enough, whatever it is, let me know. I need feedback to improve. Please give it to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This cat is giving me resistance right now, and unfortunately, momentum doesn't matter. Getting rid of him is not an option, so I don't know how I'm going to overcome this cat.